Good afternoon and welcome to a very special edition of Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. I'm joined by Victor Jones. He's Director of Trading at TD Ameritrade, and we have the winners of the Thinkorswim Challenge with us. The Queen's Dream Team, they returned 427% in just 4 weeks. I think I know who's managing my portfolio. Tell us about the TD Thinkorswim Challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first I'd like to talk about basically maybe a year ago, we surveyed over 2,100 people, and we found if we were to give $1,000 to millennials, what would they do with the money? And we found 77% of them said that they would rather put it in a savings account versus invest it. And I think this is the pivotal moment. This is why TD Ameritrade U and Thinkorswim Challenge was ultimately created, because it's great that millennials have a mind towards saving and capital preservation, but we also have to understand real world application of classroom concepts, including opportunity costs. And that's why we created the challenge, to give students and their professors an opportunity to participate in the markets and understand how to apply the things that they're learning in the classroom and kind of bridge it and be a gap to the markets.
So how does it work? It's over a period of 4 weeks, and they're given, what, 500,000?
That's exactly right.
In virtual money to paper trade through the Thinkorswim platform.
Yeah, we had 2,500 students across 327 schools in 49 states across the country competing for the top prize. You had 500,000 in virtual money. You got to use our real technology, trade real markets with real data. These gentlemen did a fantastic job turning that 500,000 into 2.6 million in 4 quick weeks.
Congratulations. Did you just buy a whole bunch of Bitcoin? Well, let's run down the line before we talk about your strategies and the investments that you were in. Max, give us what you're majoring in right now and sort of what your plans are after school.
Sure. Thank you so much for having us.
You're welcome.
I'm a senior in the Macaulay Honors Program at Queens. I'm double majoring in finance and economics, and actually after I graduate in May, I'll be starting work at Barclays.
Oh, great. Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Shlomo, we'll go with you next.
So I'm a junior right now at Queens College. I'm majoring in accounting, and my plans for this summer and continuing on is trying to find work in a CPA firm, eventually move on to work professionally in hopefully one of the big 4. That's, I guess, the dream. Yeah.
All right. Well, Daniel, we'll wrap it up with you.
Well, I'm a junior in Queens College like Shlomo. My major is a little more complicated, though. I started as an applied physics major, then moved to experimenting with meteorology, and now I'm pursuing a self-designed degree in public markets and global conflicts.
That's really interesting. So tell us about the overall strategy, how you achieved 427% return. What did that translate into? 2.6 million virtual dollars. Tell us about the strategy.
Well, from the get-go, we knew that we were going to have to pursue a high-risk, high-growth strategy. And obviously the best way to do that was with options. So we decided to use an event-driven strategy, mainly earnings plays, because the bulk of the competition happened during earnings season. And it was successful.
Yeah, I think what's interesting, Jill, about 77% of the total trades from all of the teams were option related. These gentlemen chose to trade 100% of their trades were actually dedicated towards options. One of the things we talked about, guys, were your best trades. What were some of the things that kind of helped to propel you to that #1 spot in terms of actual underlines?
Sure. Well, I think Expedia, we had the biggest percentage return on. I think we had over, a 600% return on those puts, and then we were able to actually buy calls, and we wrote it back up because we felt, I think it was a 40% drop.
So you sold the puts to fund the call purchase.
Yes.
Oh, thinking like the professionals.
And similarly, Philip Morris, which Daniel could definitely talk a lot about, was a very interesting trade. And first of all, it's not at your Facebook, Amazon, Google, Tesla. It's a little bit more of an obscure play, and going in, we played both sides of it. We bought those puts going in, later sold them when they missed earnings, dropped, later bought those calls, which had fallen in value so much it was just pennies on the dollar, and sold those a little bit later on once the company had resurfaced.
How do you guys pick your stocks?
Well, I think the way that we pick stocks in this competition is we look at the economic and political spectrum that the stock faces. For example, when the Philip Morris trade was based around regulations that they're facing, and the Expedia trade was based around, well, just the headwinds that all companies in Expedia's industry are facing, along with the allegations that now they're editing reviews and such on and so forth, along with the extreme Atlantic hurricane season. Right. I mean, travel is down, and that's going to hurt Expedia.
It's in terms of risk management. We try to design this competition a little bit differently. You can't put any more than 10% of your capital in any one name. I'm curious, Max, how did that change the way you guys approached your risk management strategy and diversification?
Sure. So I think, like Victor touched upon, we really had to think about ways to have the correct amount of exposure while not losing all our money. And TD, this challenge really was structured in such a way that we couldn't just make a bet. We really had to be thoughtful about what we were trading and how we were trading. And, of course, there were days we were down, but that actually challenged us to think of ways to, get back up and get back to that first spot.
I think it's really interesting that they traded a lot via the mobile platform.
That's right. On average, I think 41% of our total trades for the competition came through mobile. And gentlemen, you guys, we had this conversation before. That was also a big part of how you entered your trades as well, right?
Yes.
Sure.
So how did you divide up the responsibilities? Did you kind of like think about stock picks or an underlying during the day or just what was happening in the market? Explain how the process worked to wrap this up.
Well, at the beginning of every week, I would look at, well, what companies are going to be reporting earnings this week, what's happening, and again, what are the companies facing and what have they faced over the last quarter. And, I pretty much printed out the list from, Yahoo Finance, and I was circling, what I wanted to trade, and then I would actually sometimes consult with Max. I'd bounce what I wanted to do off him and Shlomo, and then from there we would develop our strategy for the week.
Yeah, the communication was really strong. We had a WhatsApp group going. Daniel was really awesome. He would really identify these ideas. We'd exchange and have a conversation around it. And if one of us didn't really see the strategy, didn't think it made so much sense, we'd question one another. Oftentimes we'd tailor the strategy to accommodate all the different perspectives. And that, I think, helped us, again, manage risk.
Right. That's great portfolio experience as well. And to wrap up, Victor, I understand that TD is making a sizable donation to the #1 place team.
That's exactly right. Their school will get $30,000. Each one of them individually will get a $5,000 trading account that they can utilize, and each of them wins an iPad Pro as well. So definitely a financial incentive to participate, and we're very excited that these guys did a fantastic job and represented their school very well.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Victor. And guys, congratulations. That's fantastic. We're honored to have you join us at the MarketSite. And always thank you for watching. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.